Hi guys, my name's Leilani. I'm a clinical nutritionist and I'm a chef, and I'm here today to help you make the meals you love, nutrient dense, good for your gut, good for your brain, good for your body. Now we're going to make a butter chicken, a very alternative style of butter chicken that's dairy-free, gluten-free, which is pretty normal, but I'm not actually using chicken today. Now you can use chicken, but just because I already had vegetables, I'm making it a cauliflower style butter chicken. But you can easily add chicken to this recipe. Now, this is actually an anti-aging and gut healthy butter chicken, butter cauliflower, I should say. And I've chosen these specific ingredients and I'll go over them one by one just to tell you why I chose them, what components are in them that is so healthy, and why you should buy them. Of course, you don't need every single one of these. You can substitute, no problem, but this is kind of as good as it gets. So even if you can do half of what I've got here, you can improve the quality of the butter chicken that you're making. And it is actually full of healthy fats rather than kind of inflammatory fats. So this is why I've modified this dish so heavily actually. But it is delicious, I must admit. I've made it before and I really do like it. So first we'll start with the vegetables. I would have added chicken had I had chicken, but I didn't have it. So I've basically just roasted in the oven with olive oil. You could use coconut oil as well, but I've used extra virgin olive oil. I roasted it for about half an hour on a moderate heat, and I've chosen cauliflower, pumpkin, and zucchini. And I'll show you the reason I've chosen this, and actually onion, because onion is a very gut healthy, you can have a look at gut healthy ingredient, and so is cauliflower. They both have quercetin, which really neutralizes free radicals. I've also got some zucchini in there, and the pumpkin has beta carotene, and that helps with healthy skin. So it helps protect the skin, should we say, from aging. That's really hot, and I've just taken that out of the oven. So that's what you'll do. You just cut it up, whatever vegetables, chicken, put it in the oven, cook it till it's nice, and then we're going to add the rest of it. This is quite a quick meal actually to make. Now, some of the other ingredients, we've got garam masala. You can see there, garam masala has so many different spices. It's got, let's see, clove, cumin, coriander, cinnamon, cardamom. I think it's got 10 to 14 different spices. You can buy this blended up already in the supermarket. And what I recommend, I didn't do this because I wanted to show you, but I would put it in with your vegetables. You want a good amount there. I'm going to put about a good tablespoon. Put it in the vegetables while it's cooking so that it becomes more aromatic. Now, I didn't do that this time just so I could show you the spice mix. Then we're going to add some turmeric. Okay, turmeric is, I mean, you probably already know the health properties of it, but it has a very strong property called curcumin, and this is anti-inflammatory. It's very potent, as good as it gets. They put this in pills to eat because it makes everything yellow. So just be careful of the turmeric. You want about half a teaspoon. And what this does is adds that gorgeous yellow color and also the healthy properties for anti-aging. But just be really careful. I'd always wash my hands after using turmeric. I used to use fresh turmeric and grate it up, but I was stained yellow for such a long time that I kind of gave up on it, and I just get the dried stuff. Now, we're also going to add some bone broth. Now, or stock. Oh, hopefully you can still hear. So stock is going to add some gut healthy elements to it, that glutamine, but it's also going to add a beautiful richness. So you could use chicken stock. I've got beef because I already have this beef bone broth. And I basically just put a couple of spoons of this in water. And I'm going to add that. You could use a regular stock if you don't want to make your own. But I must admit, these kinds of stocks are, I make my own a lot of the time, but if I don't, I use this, and it's really a very, very good quality product, and it keeps for a long time. I've had it in the fridge. I add a spoon of this to rice when I'm making it, to all of my curries. Sometimes I just drink it on its own. It's really good for helping the intestinal tract heal. So I can't recommend really spending the money on a good quality bone broth. This is a concentrate. Now, we're going to add some of this. This is optional, but I do recommend it for this dairy-free butter chicken. If you watch my shows before, you would have known this nutritional yeast. I put it in so much stuff. And essentially, this one's got B2 and B3, which is a precursor to glutamine. And glutamine is one of the top antioxidant compounds that you can have. And when I say antioxidant, it basically stops oxidizing. And oxidizing is one of the reasons why your cells in your body starts breaking down. So it causes cellular damage. And we've just got trillions and trillions of cells. So you really want to maintain the integrity of the cells. And by using antioxidant-like foods, that's how you get the anti-aging effect. So the B vitamins in this have got that. So I'm going to actually add, you don't really need to measure this stuff. I'm going to add about a couple of tablespoons. But now think of nutritional yeast as like Parmesan cheese. It's got very high amounts of B12 as well, which is quite difficult if you're on a more vegetarian vegan diet. So it's sort of known as a vegan supplement, but I recommend it for everyone because it's got those B vitamins. Now, give it a nice little stir. Tomato, and you can use a little bit of honey, but we'll get to that after. I'm actually going to just put a bit of salt in this now. There's one key ingredient I haven't got to yet. I'll put that away. I like to keep things a bit clean and tidy when I can. Now, this is one of the major ingredients in this and why it's so healthy. And you're probably wondering why it's sitting in water. So if you can't guess, these are cashews. Cashews have very strong vitamin E levels, and so that helps protect the cells from that oxidative damage that I was telling you about. Why it's in water, you don't have to do this, but if you soak nuts, you're essentially activating them, and that starts the germination process, which helps the nutrients inside the nut become more available, or they call it bioavailable, available to the body. And it helps with digestion. So some people have issues with nuts. If you soak them, and I've soaked this just for 4 hours, you could do it overnight if you want. You get a lot more of a bang for your buck. And also it creates a softer, more consistent butter chicken. So if you just took raw nuts, it would be a bit gritty, but because we've soaked them, it's going to become soft. So I will drain this out because you do not want to have that water. So make sure that you drain the water, and you need to use a filtered water with a bit of salt in it. That's the ideal anyway. You could use whatever you want, but ideally filtered water with a little bit of salt. So let me drain that. Okay, I've drained them, gave them a rinse, and I'm just going to put them in. I've got a Thermomix, but you could use any blender. That's about 2 cups. So this is, instead of the cream, we're using the cashews. Really, really nice, creamy-like texture, and also full of these nutrient-dense vitamins, as well as protein. So you can definitely add a protein to this. I would normally add chickpeas, but I didn't have any. You could add tofu, you could add chicken, but also because it's so nut heavy, you don't actually need to, because you'll find that it's quite filling. So to my blender, I'm going to add tomatoes. Now you can add any tomato if you have it in season. I'm using a tomato passata, and the reason tomato passata, it's organic. It doesn't cost that much. It's in glass. I prefer that over the can. And also, it does not have the skin or the seeds. And the skin of the seeds have, they can be a bit disruptive to the gut microbiome. So the recommended way to eat a tomato is actually with minimal skin and minimal seeds. Just if you're really compromised digestion, it can help. And some people get triggered by nightshade foods, which this is a nightshade food. So try the passata. It might be easier for your body to break down. Also, tomatoes have lycopene in it, which is an antioxidant type component. So again, we're going for anti-aging, gut healthy. So this is why I've chosen this product. And you and I can never open anything. Great, I had to get some help. So I'm going to add this to this and blend it together. The other thing about tomatoes and lycopene, it actually helps protect the skin from UV damage. So of course we like that. Now I'm just going to blend this up. Okay, I'm back. Now I've blended it up. I'm not going to lie, it doesn't look super attractive right now, but I tasted it, and you can have a look how smooth it is. And actually it is very velvety. So it's smoother in taste than it looks. It does need salt, and that's because tomato always needs quite a bit of salt. And the cashews don't have any salt because they were soaked. Now I'm going to add just a touch of honey, and you don't have to. It depends on your tomatoes. These tomatoes were a bit acidic. So when you have something acidic like lemon, one of the ways to compromise that, or contrast that rather, is to add a little bit of sweetness. You could use a bit of sugar. I have quite a bit of honey here, so I'll add a spoon of honey. This is probably enough for 8 people, so it's quite a lot. You think 1 spoon between 8 people is not very much. This honey is incredible. Get yourself a really good raw honey. I can't believe how cheap it is, to be honest, when you think about how hard those bees work. This is just a local honey, raw. I don't use it in baking, but I put it in teas and kind of drizzle it on yogurt, and like a spoon here and there. Sometimes I just put it in my mouth, because if I'm not feeling well, honey, the antibacterial component, helps with removing some of that pathogenic bacteria. Great stuff. So honey's in. I'll just give that a mix, and then I'm going to add it to here. All right, it's all in. That's everything. Now what I'm going to do is mix it around. I know you're probably skeptical at this point, looking at it going, that does not look good. But stay with me. I'm telling you, it is much better than it looks at this point. I'm going to put the lemon in later. And the reason is lemon has vitamin C. Vitamin C helps the uptake of iron. It helps absorb iron in a meal. So, but vitamin C it gets destroyed by heat. So you kind of leave it to the end. So I'm going to bake this for about 10 minutes just to make sure it's all nice and thickened. And if you're finding that it's not yellow enough, it resembles butter chicken, so I put quite a bit of tomato in that. Just add a bit more turmeric, and that'll give it that yellow touch. If you're finding it's not, if it's too thick, and again, this is, it's kind of cold, so once you heat it, it goes more runny. But if you're finding it is too thick, just add a bit of water or stock. And so if you look at what we've got in here, we've got a healthy fat, which is cashews. We've got some salt, and That's why we add the lemon, because it kind of gives it a bit of a freshness at the very end. So anytime you have a fat, it's like in a dressing, right? Dressings are oil and acid, or extra virgin olive oil and lemon. So you want those balance. Anytime you have a meal that's kind of too fatty, it sits a bit heavy. That's why we're going to add the lemon. But it is optional. You don't have to. I don't think that it's overly traditional. Now, the last thing that I'll talk to you about is, let me just put that in the oven. So I put it in a hot oven for about 10 minutes till everything's nice and warm. Lucky last is, this is very optional, okay? But like I said, I'm using the best of everything for this recipe. You could just use regular rice, but I've gone one step further because this is anti-aging butter chicken. I've got a red rice. So you can get it from Asian supermarkets, but actually I just got this from my local supermarket. It is a bit more expensive, but I do think it's worth it because this red rice has a flavonoid. It's an anthocyanin, and it's one of the best antioxidants that you can get, and it helps with skin repair, DNA repair, and you could even do a mix, so half red rice, half white rice. The only thing is you kind of need to cook them separately. This takes a bit longer. It's like brown rice. So I actually soak this for a couple of hours just to speed up the process. It tastes a little bit more like white rice, but a tiny bit more fibrous. So this is what it looks like when it's cooked. So it's got, you want to make sure it's cooked well. That's why I soaked it first. It's basically white rice, but then it's got this red shell. So again, you don't have to use this, but we're trying to make this the Rolls Royce of anti-aging. So I'll see you back here in 10 minutes for the plate up. All right, so I had it cooking in a pretty hot oven for about 15 minutes and thickened it up. You could add more liquid if you wanted runny, but I quite like mine thick. I did have to add a bit more salt because I do like things a bit salty, but it came out great. So this is the butter chicken with cauliflower and cashews. Oh gosh, can you see that hair? Not good. Okay, it's just for me anyway. With cauliflower and cashews, and I do recommend, I put a bit of chili on top because I love chili. I probably recommend soaking the cashews a little bit longer. Last time I made this, I soaked them overnight and it was a little bit smoother. This time I only soaked for a couple of hours, maybe 3 hours. So better to soak them overnight so that you get a little bit more, it's still creamy, but it's slightly still a bit gritty, or not gritty is the wrong word, but just got a little bit more, like it's not as silky, right? So, but I'm very happy with it. It tastes gorgeous. It's very healthy for you. Give it a try. It's a one-pot dish. So I do like that. And if you want to leave any comments or feedbacks, please do so below and subscribe, like my channel. I would love to give you more of this content. So let me know what you want to see. Thanks so much. Bye.